Now let me break down some pay scenarios because as I said earlier, right, a lot of people make the common mistake of only looking at base pay and they're not factoring in other things, right? One of the key ones, especially is if you're married, right? If you're a married individual joining the military, there are some other pay things that you're going to be receiving. And in my scenario here, I like to kind of do it based on if you're in the Army, let's say, for example, stationed at Fort Carson. Now, it doesn't have to be Army. It could be anybody really, because the BAH, the housing allowance, is really based on your location, right? So we're looking at, let's say, like an E2, someone early in the military, right, stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, because it depends on where you're living at as far as how much you're going to receive for housing allowance. If you choose to live on post, then you don't receive a housing allowance. You just don't pay any rent or anything because the housing's free. But if you're going to live off post, then they're going to pay you extra to help you cover your rent, your utilities, all that kind of fun stuff. So in this scenario, we're looking at an E2, right? And I think I have this as the breakdown for before the April increase, or maybe it's after. But nonetheless, you get the idea. You can probably figure it out on your own once I kind of give you how to break down the scenario. So in this scenario, your base pay is $2,599, right? That's the base pay because of your rank, right? So that's what everybody gets as an E2, regardless of where you're at, regardless of what branch of service you're in. But now, because you're a married individual, right? You're living off post, you're receiving BAH, which is basic allowance for housing. That's the money you get to help pay for your rent and everything. You're going to be receiving $2,160 for that Fort Carson area in the Colorado Springs area. So that's money to use for rent and utilities. You're also going to receive a food allowance. That's BAS, right? That is going to be $481 for enlisted soldiers. It's something different for officers, but for all enlisted soldiers, regardless of your rank, $481 is going to be what you're going to get. That BAH does fluctuate based on your rank. So you are going to get more if you're higher ranking and less if you're lower ranking. So that does kind of change it up. Now, monthly pay, right? That breakdown in this scenario is going to be $5,240 per month. And then your paycheck that you're getting on the 1st and 15th would roughly look like about $2,620 before taxes get taken out. But don't forget, the only thing that they are going to take federal or state taxes if they need to out of that pay is that $2,599 part, right? That base pay. That $2,160 and $481 for BAH and BAS, that's not taxed. They don't tax that part, right? So the only part they're going to be taxing is that base pay. So that's what your paycheck is going to look like.